I love the transfer window. I just do. I love the build-up. I love transfer deadline day. I love the gossip. I love the rumours. In many respects, I am the intended audience, I think, from it. I'm the perfect recipient. I refresh the page. I constantly check if you've got a website and you've got a newspaper that's got loads of adverts on it and you've got to click the cookies. It's me. I'm the one doing that. That's me. Who West Ham linked with? Then I'll jump onto YouTube and have a little look at him. Is he a player? I'm very aware that the videos I'm watching are the best bits of those players. Go and have a look on transfermarket.com. Go and have a look at how many goals they've scored, that sort of thing. I like it. I really enjoy it. But I do appreciate that not everybody is like that. I've even, on today's video that I uploaded this morning, or was it last night, somebody said, that's it, I'm out. I'm out. I cannot be doing this transfer gossip anymore. I'm going to wait till the start of the season, which again, I totally and utterly understand. You know, I think it's probably a very good thing to go and have a break from football, particularly when it was 2 games a week. And have a break for the summer, come back to it. But I love it and I enjoy it. And we've been doing Hammers Chat now since 2014. So we're in our 9th year doing it, and it's given us a lot of very, very good times. What it's also given us is an archive of, well, not just our videos, but how people respond to our videos. So what people are saying, what you guys are typing into YouTube. And it's been really interesting going and looking back at things. And I've done that over the past couple of days. I did it once for a video on here, and I did it on another occasion for a Patreon video that I did. And whilst I was there, I had another little look. Because I've got to say, already, people are getting very down on the transfer window. People are worried. People are angry. People are concerned we're not going to sign anyone. And I get that as well. In fact, I hold my hands up here. Last June, I did a video myself saying I'm worried that West Ham aren't going to sign anyone. So I bought into that as well. However, this year, I think is probably the first year that the hindsight, a bit of benefit of experience has kicked in, if you like. Because when I started to hear the complaints, they sounded very familiar. What I got a lot of the time last year, and this was only in the summer window, not in the winter window. I didn't get this. This wasn't said in the winter window because we'd had a spend up. But in the summer window at the start, so in June, people were saying, every time I uploaded a transfer gossip or transfer update video, which I enjoy doing, somebody would say, I don't know why you're bothering doing these, Gonzo. We're not going to sign anyone. That sort of standard message, I'm not saying one person, it was clearly something that multiple people were thinking, because that would come up and loads of people would type the same thing. There's also a whole load of people like me who get very, very excited about it, but people are on a downer. So when we got to this year and I saw people start typing that stuff again, we're not going to sign anyone and all the rest of it, why are we always lagging behind? I thought, hold on, this is familiar. I know this, because it happened last year. Now, the purpose of this video is not to say that we're going to spend £200 million again. It's not. It's not to say I think the owners are brilliant at buying and selling. It's not. I think it's really just to say that I think the transfer window ain't going to be as bad as a lot of people think it will. Because what there was, I'm going to read out some comments in a second. What there was before was a load of people who would think we'd be attached to a player, and then we wouldn't sign them, and then they'd get upset. So a newspaper, whatever, the Sun, the Guardian, the Mail, the Mirror, whoever, they'd say West Ham United are in for X, Y, and Z. And West Ham are never in for them, never ever in for these players. But for whatever reason, it's not necessarily that newspapers lie in. Sometimes an agent will leak the name out there to get their player out there. Maybe, just maybe, West Ham yesterday leaked Manchester City's name to get Arsenal to bid more. You just don't know. For whatever reason, these names come to the fore. But West Ham are never interested in them. And then what happens is the press keep on saying West Ham are going to sign this striker, West Ham are going to sign this striker. In the end, we don't sign the striker. And what happens is someone else goes and signs him. And then you'll get a bit of a mini meltdown. I knew it. West Ham have been differing. We've been delaying. We've not gone for this player. And now someone else has bought him. I'm not saying that hasn't happened. West Ham can do that. And West Ham have mucked around in the transfer window. The Jesse Lingard pursuit was awful, wasn't it? I mean, as a transfer strategy, it was pretty poor. But I find it now hard to get upset about a player we miss out on when we're just linked with him. And I saw it happen the other day, and it was yesterday. And the player was Harvey Barnes. And people were getting upset. I can't believe we haven't signed Harvey Barnes. We're going to sign Harvey Barnes. Tottenham, we're going to sign Harvey Barnes. I saw it. I saw it in numerous places yesterday. And I thought, and then it was followed up by, why do West Ham always do this week? Why can we never make a signing? And I thought, well, okay, this sounds very, very familiar. And I think we're all sort of guilty of that in a certain... I call it the bus never comes syndrome. So I used to catch a bus to work all the time. And the bus could be on time Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, the bus could be late. I'd be there saying, why is the bus always late? Well, it's not. It's just when it's on time. And I think, oh, good, Monday. Why is the bus always on time? You just don't say it. I think you'll be predicated to sort of veer towards the negative. And I just wonder if that's happening now. I'm going to read you a few from last season. Now, I'm going to pop them up as well. Now, I just want to say, it's not my intention. I've blanked out the names here because it's not my intention to dig anyone out because I'm guilty of this as well. I absolutely produced a video saying I'm worried. But I only highlight this now to demonstrate that actually what's happening now doesn't have an awful lot of bearing on the transfer window. It really doesn't. Just to make the point that last season we were the third highest spending club in world football. Only Chelsea and Manchester United spent more money than West Ham. Don't think we'll do that again. I'm not saying we'll do it again. But to say we're not going to sign anyone, I just don't think it's the case. I think we're going to have an interesting window. And I also think what is interesting in terms of window is what people often don't factor in is how much wages frees up. With Manuel Lanzini, I love Lanzini, by the way. He's about to go. He's on $100,000 a week. Frees up a lot of wages. An awful. It's not just wages. Don't just separate and look at it for wages and look at it in terms of transfer fees. That's freeing up a lot of money that can be reinvested into the squad in terms of a chunk out of our annual turnover. Anyway, I'm going to read you a few messages. So this is all from June. So some of them say 11 months ago. Some of them will say a year ago. They're from June. Somebody said, I'm beginning to think West Ham is the last club in the Premier League that players want to come to. You look at our style of play, the owners, the manager, and you can't blame them. However, congratulations on Lisa Evans joining the women's team. Perhaps you'll consider playing for the men's team. Who's the person who's written it? I mean, the sarcastic thing is about the lady playing for the gentlemen's team. Gentlemen's team. He's upset. He thinks we're not going to sign one. So that, we've got a bit sarcastic at the end, and that's what that was. The last bit was a joke, but the start of it, I'm beginning to think West Ham are the last club in the Premier League that players want to come to. Well, it wasn't the case. It wasn't the case at all. You can't have it both ways. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Gianluca Scamacca worked out, but everybody, including Scamacca himself, Sassuolo, Fabrizio Romano, everybody says the same thing, that he turned down Paris Saint-Germain to join West Ham. So it's not the same. It's not that we're the last team that anyone wants to come to. That's not the case. He had other options. There's other players that had other options. So we can sign players. That much is true. You also look at someone like Flynn Downs. Again, all right, it's not worked out brilliantly, but Flynn Downs was just about to sign for Crystal Palace. He turned around and said, no, I'm going to sign for them. All right, he's a West Ham fan. But again, it's not true that no one wants to come. Do I think the owners are great? No, I don't. Do I think Moyes' style of play is possibly unattractive to some players? I think it probably would be. I think it was Scamacca that made a mistake there. I think Scamacca probably should have done his research better on David Moyes' style of play, because I could have told Scamacca, if I'd have known what sort of player Scamacca was, I could have told Scamacca, hold on, mate, you ain't going to fit into this system. But they are two very different things. And because one of them is with the benefit of hindsight. Another one here, afternoon Gonzo, I hate to be pessimistic, but why does it feel like there's no positive transfer news for us at the moment? I see teams rivaling us this season, Villa, Newcastle, Spurs strengthening their squads. And at this point, I have to say, I was also worried. Particularly, I looked at Aston Villa. Well, Aston Villa was so bad that they had to go and change their manager. Their signings, by and large, didn't work out at the start. And actually, we ended up spending more than Villa, Newcastle and Tottenham. Now, you know, you can argue the merits of each one of whether or not they had a better season than us. But again, you know, and this is somebody who doesn't want to be pessimistic. He says, I hate to be pessimistic. Why does it feel like there's no positive transfers? He wants positivity. But it feels bad. But it's so early in the transfer window, and I think this is what I'm trying to say. Someone else said, we won't spend 40 million on any player, let alone what Southampton want for Ward-Prowse. He's a very good player, but 70 million, no thanks. Okay, so the second bit is separate. We won't spend 40 million on any player. Shortly after that, we were going to go and spend, and it was very shortly afterwards, 35 million on a Gerd. We went to spend another 35 million on Skamaka and spent nearly 50 million on Lucas Paquetá. Still not decided. Anyway, again, so it's not true, but it feels like doom and gloom, but it's so early. We're a few days into the transfer window, as we were then. And I think what happens in this instance is some teams sign players early before they can register them. Aston Villa and Yuri Tillemans would be a case in point. They can't sign Tillemans. Well, I guess he's registered now. They can sign him, they can agree to sign him, but they can't register him. And I think we saw players, other teams doing that early. We couldn't do it, and as a result, people get worried. There's another one. I'll only do two more, as you can see on the screen. Said this West Ham board won't spend very much in this transfer market. They want out next year. We might get one signing. Then I would imagine all the others will be free transfers. I mean, just none of that was accurate or true. And again, I go back to I've said many, many things that are not accurate that turn out to be wrong. I mean, we can all do it. I mean, show me someone that says they've been right every single time, and I'll show you a liar. But so I'm not having a dig at this point. But it didn't turn out like that. West Ham board won't spend very much. Well, they did loads. They want out next year. It appears they don't. It appears Sullivan wants to hang on to his shares. And I got that wrong. I thought he was going to go as well, by the way. All I'm saying is, so sometimes over the course of time you get more evidence and you have to reevaluate how you think. And I am doing that this season. So I'm starting not to worry. Just one more. This, and I put this one in there because this post, and I don't mean just from this person, from lots of people, hundreds of these posts, in fact, would say exactly this. You can hear them now. We tried to get this and other players. The suggestion being, we haven't signed anyone, but we did try. And they've done that before. They absolutely have done that before. But it didn't happen. That's not what happens. I did this video on Patreon, how they would often have a stooge player, a decoy. I called him a decoy player. I did the video on Patreon, off on this board, and they've grown and they've developed at it. They used to everything used to be on social media all the time. David Gold, bless him, he was on social media a lot, wasn't he? For a time, young Jack Sullivan was on social media. We just know everything and we'd know too much. I think the board became a lot more canny at it, and they'd actually to the point where they would use their contacts. Some would say abuse their contacts to put out misinformation. So, look, we're going to sign this player over here, but actually, they were signing that player over there. So I think that's more accurate to the, we tried. That wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. They tried. They actually got it done. They spent a lot of money. Now, that is a separate argument. Do we think the money was spent well? That's a completely separate argument. I don't know. I'm not suggesting for a moment that every signing West Ham will make in this transfer window is going to turn out to be an excellent player. I don't know. But I tell you what experience does teach me, and that is that in this transfer window, undoubtedly, West Ham are going to sign quite a few players.